My name is Foster Eastman, and this art project is to engage the community to see their response and their feelings about Canada's involvement in Afghanistan. And so the idea is to fill the WAG bags, waste disposal bags, with waste paints, shoot the bags with a military-grade weapon, and evacuate the bags onto the canvas. The different steps. These are your canvases that have been prepared that you're going to be using. On the back of the canvas, I want you to put your name, your age, your rank, your occupation, date it, and sign it. We're going to be working with WAG bags, military edition WAG bags. Inside the bag there's going to be toilet paper and everything that you need to use for the bathroom. So what I'd like you to do is take out the toilet paper and write your thoughts, and then we'll deposit those into the bag. Then I want you to go into the loading dock and choose colors to represent those feelings.
I paste the pack right at the head. So if you're going to shoot a target, you need to hit it dead center. Hi, my name's Aaron Bedard. I served in the Canadian Forces from 2002 to 2010 as a combat engineer. I choose the colors blue and red, which are my regimental colors with combat engineers, and they signify the blue and red, the battle of politics between two of the major parties in Canada, and blood as well. Just an interesting process to come up with some thoughts that connect you to Afghanistan, in my case. Two different worlds. This is a world of freedom, that's a world of dust and death.
I chose the green and yellow color because it reminded me of a forest clearing, kind of in the springtime with some yellow buttercups coming up. I placed it at the eye level because I wanted to still be able to see the soldiers' eyes and to obscure some of the lower parts. My name is Blair McLean. I'm one of the counseling therapists here, and I was the videographer for the Man Art Action project previously, and I just did an art piece with some shooting.
My name is Officer Cadet Lopresti. I'm with the C4th Highlanders of Canada Reserve Force. I'm here today in a couple roles. One, as a learning and developing counselor, and two, as a member of the Canadian Armed Forces. The colors I chose today were white and tan. Tan to represent the soldiers who've served in Afghanistan and Iraq, and white to represent the knowledge that we have as civilians in Canada about what our soldiers were doing in Afghanistan. So I placed the bag on the soldiers' hands to represent how the soldiers were the ones who had their hands dirty when serving in Afghanistan, while the Canadian civilians had their hands clean, and they were removed from what actually people who represented their country were doing to protect them and their freedom.
I'm Tim Laidler. I chose three colors. I chose the blue because it reminded me of the burqas we would see in Afghanistan. The red I chose because of the Canadian presence and the Canadian values that the Canadian soldiers brought with them. There was a real difference on the battlefield, I felt, between the Canadians and the other nations serving there. Our actual values as Canadians came across when we were serving there, and the way we interacted with the locals and showed them respect and tried to learn from them. And the white is the innocence. I was always struck by how young people were in the military. I was 22 when I was in Afghanistan. There was a lot of soldiers in my platoon that were 19, 20 years old, and they were making life or death decisions, and they matured a lot in those short 6 months.
Hi, my name is Mike Waterman. I chose red for sacrifice and strength, and I chose blue for camaraderie and hope, and I chose pink because it made me think of sunrise. sort of a fresh start, a new day. You know, you're thinking intellectually about some of the words and what you're doing, and then you come outside and you start shooting a gun. So sort of taking, you know, your thoughts and the physicality and your emotion and putting it all into something.
I chose red for all of the blood that's shed. I chose yellow because for me it represents light and hope. It's the color of the sun. We look up, there's new growth, it's a new day. Purple represents suffering and despair, and the black represents death and darkness. I was surprised at how heavy the gun was. So I put the bag on the soldier's shoulder, and for me that represents the weight of everything, the emotional and the psychological weight that soldiers have to carry.
My name is Major Chuck McKinnon. I'm with the Royal Westminster Regiment. I was a soldier and officer in the Army, served in Afghanistan and currently serve in the Canadian Army Reserve. And as you can see by my uniform, I work for Canada Post. The complexity of the environment that we worked in melded all together. So through the tan dust, the tan uniforms, there was culture and people and trauma and tragedy and happy moments that all kind of blended into one thing.
So I'm George Beliveau, and I'm a professor at the University of British Columbia, and I'm a professor of theater education. I put the bag in the gut because from my understanding of a lot of our veterans and military personnel, there's a gut feeling that they need to do something. They want to make a difference. Decided to flip the panel upside down because I wanted that the paint would come down towards their heads, because that gut feeling then leaped, or it filtered into their heads that this is something I need to do. When I was holding that gun and I was shooting at that bag and I was shooting at an individual on a target, there was a sense of discomfort. There's a scene in the play which is about the rush, and I can see why some of these veterans do get into this rush.
My name is Marv Westwood, and I'm involved in this program, and I have been for a number of years, about 15 years, and I was the founder of the Veterans Transition Program. The black represents the harrowing hell. To go back and get their souls back, they have to go to hell. And that's the reality of this kind of work. Because of their careers, they get exposed to stuff that they shouldn't carry inside them anymore. But this orange is kind of a nice color, and this represents love. The blue, I save the blue to the last, it's the dominant color. This represents the soul. People often see things and do things that actually harm their soul. And that's one of the areas that I really think you can do soul repair work as well as the psychological and physical. So the blue is dominant, so I put it up here. But notice it travels throughout the whole person right to the end.
So the idea is to take other samplings of different parts of the community and to see over a period of 158 canvases whether there's a pattern that starts to develop based on feelings.
It's a good way to express how we're feeling about our involvement overseas.
Action-oriented.
It's cool.
Hearing their stories about what it is that they carry all of the time, even when they're healing from PTSD, they're still carrying.
There's a sense of adrenaline rush.
The experiences from overseas coming from the soldier's eyes.
All that put into one container.
And I'm really committed to what they've taught me about how to recover your soul self.
There's the colors, but they get washed away in the sand really quickly over in Afghanistan, and at least with this, it's permanent.
I don't think I would have a problem shooting somebody if I had to.
Shit happens.